The Super Eagles of Nigeria will take part in the draws for the 2026 FIFA World Cup on the 5th of December in Washington, D.C. That's something I hope I'll be able to say in 2 months' time. But sadly, I can't guarantee you guys I'll be saying that because most of you watching, you already know the situation. But for those of you who don't know the situation about Nigeria's World Cup qualifying hopes, well, welcome to today's video. That's what I'm here to talk about today. In today's video, I'll be doing a preview of Nigeria's upcoming World Cup qualifying games against Rwanda and South Africa. And I'll also be talking about a couple of issues, including the squad list that Eric Chelle has dropped, the coach of the team, new additions to the team, and a couple of other hot topics. So stick along with me and let's get into it. Well, for those of you who don't know, the current situation right now is that in Group C, Nigeria is 4th, in the same group with the likes of South Africa, Benin, Lesotho, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, teams we should not be struggling against. And as it is now, we are set to miss out on back-to-back World Cup tournaments, except a miracle happens. And when I talk to people about this, and when I've spoken to people about this, they've told me, oh, we can still win our 4 games, we can qualify and all of that. I'm like, why didn't we win our first 6 games? If you say it's still possible, we can still win our last 4 games. Why didn't we beat Lesotho at home? Why didn't we beat Zimbabwe? Why did we draw? Why have we not won any home game? So I'm a bit surprised that people are this optimistic, because it's the Super Eagles. I'm not sure why you guys are very, very optimistic, because in the past few years they've not really given a lot of things. They've not really given us a lot of things to be optimistic about. But well, who am I to say people should not be optimistic? Let's just get into it. So, well, like I said, the current situation is that Nigeria is 4th in the group. We are set to miss out on back-to-back World Cup tournaments for the first time since 1994. Except a miracle happens, really, because we need to win at least our last 4 games. And those last 4 games include a very tough match away to South Africa and a match at home to Benin against Genotro, who has sworn that he will beat Nigeria. He already beat us, in the away fixture. So, again, I don't know the optimism that certain people have about, how we are going to win our 4 games easily and we'll still qualify and we'll get the automatic slot. I don't know where that optimism is coming from, because I'm not sure what people are watching. Because if it's the same Super Eagles that I am watching, I'm sorry, the only way we can manage to still get to that World Cup is through that continental playoff spot or intercontinental playoff spot. But let's just see how things go. Let me quickly go to the second prompt. That's a brief review of Eric Chelle's time with the home-based Super Eagles at the recent CHAN tournament. Now, for those of you who don't know what CHAN is or who haven't watched CHAN, CHAN is basically AFCON for the home-based players. That's players playing in their local leagues, in the local leagues of their countries. And Nigeria qualified for this tournament, and the NFF confirmed that Eric Chelle was going to lead the team to the tournament, accompanied by coaches of MPFL clubs, Remo Stars, Daniel Ogumodede and Fidelis Ilechukwu of Remo Stars and Rangers respectively. And the 2 managers had already been involved with the home-based team before, but they were working with Eric Chelle to go to the CHAN tournament, as they were already working with the Super Eagles proper. That's the big boys in quotes. So they went to this tournament. Well, for some people, hopes were high, but I didn't really have, I didn't really know what to expect, because CHAN has not really been a strong hold for us. I think statistically we've performed better at AFCON than at CHAN, if I'm correct. So I didn't really know what to expect. Plus, the strength of our league is, you can't really compare it to a lot of. I think our league is currently ranked like 10th in Africa. So going by that alone, it was obvious that being overly optimistic about our chances is probably something risky. But of course, we are still Nigeria. We should still do something. We should still go far. But it was a disastrous tournament, to say the least, because you know the first game lost 1-0 loss. I think it was to Senegal, which is, well, it's Senegal are a good team, and I think they went far the last time. They almost won, I think. And their league is also fairly decent. I think it's better than our league. I stand to be corrected, but the overall quality of football in Senegal is better. So that's a fact. It was the second game that really killed everybody's hopes, that really made everybody look at that team and say, what's going on with this team? Because I watched that game and Nigeria scored first, and then the goal was ruled out for offside. And they celebrated in normal VAR, and after celebration, you see that okay, the goal is a wrong goal. It's not a goal, basically. And after that, you assume that okay, Nigeria smells blood, they will take advantage of that. But that was not even the case at all. Instead, it was the team we're playing, Sudan. Sudan, that just blew us off the porch and gave us 4 goals, 4 unreplied goals. We lost to Sudan, guys, 4-0. A team that Eric Chelle coaches. I don't know what to make of it, because like I said, Chan, even the way I watched that tournament, I just watched it as as an African football fan, not necessarily. And this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that, with the things I've said before about the way I watch Super Eagles, I may not be very optimistic. It's not even about that. It's just, I just don't feel as connected to Chan as I feel to AFCON, right? So, yeah, it didn't really bother me, but it bothered me from the point of, the quality of the football in the local leagues. Yeah, that was the part that bothered me. But as like a whole, as like Nigerian football as a whole, like the Super Eagles didn't really bother me. It's just also the scoreline. We shouldn't lose 4-0 to Sudan, even if we are going to lose, it was not to Sudan we should lose 4-0 to. We shouldn't lose 4-0 to any team in that tournament. No team in that tournament is better than us so much for them to beat us 4-0, but that was it. And from then we knew that we had been knocked out, and won the last game 2-0 consolation win, and that was it. I think the highlights from that, because I want to specifically touch on Eric Chelle in that tournament. The highlight of that whole Chan and Eric Chelle link is the fact that in the post-match press conference, the Sudan's coach, I think Kwesi Appiah, a Ghanaian, I can't remember if that's his name, he mentioned something that, he said, of course, that he believed they could win, and he wanted his team to win that Sudan, but he didn't think that Sudan would beat us 4-0. And he said that the Nigerian team is poorly coached. And that was something that, everybody agreed with, to be fair. But when an opposing manager says that, sometimes in these press conferences, managers are a bit diplomatic. They don't want to say like the obvious things. But for a manager to actually say that, your opposing manager, it means it is blatantly true. So yeah, and maybe it's because it's the home-based team, a different team. I don't know. Eric Chelle, might not be used to coaching home-based players, and there's some explanation of what could have gone wrong, but there's no explanation for losing to Sudan 4-0. And if we are going to take anything from that into the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, upcoming as at time of recording this video, if we are going to take anything from the Super Eagles performances at Chan going into the World Cup qualifiers, then things are looking very bleak, I must say. It's not looking good, guys. 4 games to go. I don't know how Eric Chelle is going to turn this around, but you see, the thing is, even in the World Cup qualifiers, Eric Chelle has played just 2 games. I think, maybe he's also unlucky, but because after the first 2 games that he took charge of in the World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and Zimbabwe respectively, and obviously that draw at home to Zimbabwe complicated things. if he had won, and it was a late equalizer, so the little margins in football, if he had won, things would have been different, but we drew, and then our lack of wins at home, we've not still won at home in these qualifiers. Our lack of win our search for a home win continues, right? So if he had won at home, things would have been a little bit different. And then it has gone to Chan, and they've come back this, a disastrous campaign at Chan. So Eric Chelle there's a lot of pressure on Eric Chelle right now. But again, I want people to remember that I think if we do not qualify for the World Cup, yes, you can put blame on Eric Chelle, but Eric Chelle certainly does not take all the blame, because before Eric Chelle came, in fact, Eric Chelle is the third manager who has taken over, who has led the Super Eagles in the World Cup qualifiers. Third, there was Jose Peseiro, who started disastrous. It was during Jose Peseiro's time that we drew Lesotho 1-1. Now there was Finidi George, who during his time we lost away to Benin and we drew South Africa at home. It was during Jose Peseiro's time that we drew our first two games. We drew Lesotho at home, we drew Zimbabwe away. So certain things have already happened. However, Eric Chelle is going to take charge of 6 games, as if he's still Super Eagles manager by the end of October, when the qualifiers will round up. So if he does take charge of 6 games out of 10, and we fail to qualify, it means that he can take a bulk of the blame, but there's still other people to blame. I just want to put that out there. Let's quickly go to the squad list. And in the squad list, there's not much to pick out. It's the usual Super Eagles squad list of the past, say, 1-2 years. Stanley Wabali had the injury scared a fortnight ago at the time of recording this video, but he played recently for his club, so he's fit and he will be playing. The defense is as expected, Ekong, Aino, and the likes. There's some players in the squad that impressed me, the selection. Cyril Dessers, most especially, finally back again to the Super Eagles squad. I think 5 years after his first call up, and Cyril Dessers has been a player that I've always thought, I've always asked myself, why is he not always picked? Why is he not picked? Why is he never picked since that 5 years ago when General Shaw gave him his first call up for the Super Eagles? And I always asked that question in particular because I felt like the other players that were called up outside of maybe Osimhen, Lookman, and Awoni over the years were not better than him. Sadiq Umar and Ahmed Musa was getting a call up to the Super Eagles while Cyril Dessers wasn't. Doesn't make any sense to me. Ahmed Musa has not played in the past 3 years. Ahmed Musa has not played up to 200 minutes in total for the Super Eagles, or 300 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has played very little and he kept getting called up until it didn't make any sense anymore. So Ahmed Musa was just taking up space in that team, if you ask me. So Dessers was there, and to be fair, he has been on a good run of form in the past 6 months to 1 year, so that's certainly made a case for him. But even when he was not playing as good as he has played in the past 6 months, I still don't think that a couple of the players in that attack deserve to be in that lineup over him. But finally he's back in the squad after a good showing at the Unity Cup in June, or in late May or June, I think. And I'm happy for him because a lot of people have clamored for his inclusion and he's there now, so that's a good addition for me. And of course, Chrysanthus Uche of Getafe, who has had a really good rise, let me say, in the past couple of years. He was playing in the 3rd tier of Spanish football, if I'm correct, just a few years ago, and now he's playing for Getafe, starting for Getafe in Spain, a starting player, so deserved call up as well. Also had a showing at the Unity Cup. I think he scored the winning penalty kick in the final against is it Jamaica we played the final against? Yeah, I think so. So I think he scored, so, and that's part of what has endeared him to Nigerian fans. So that's just the two things I pick out from the squad list. Nothing really stands out other than that. It's a usual Super Eagles squad list. Yeah. So, yeah. Next prompt, the preview of the match proper now against Rwanda and South Africa. Now, we have played Rwanda in the AFCON qualifiers, and we're also playing them in the World. We've also played them away already in the World Cup qualifiers, which was our first win actually. 2 brilliant goals from Victor Osimhen. So Rwanda is a very, very familiar opponent, is a very familiar because we played them 3 times in the past 1 year to 2 years, so to say. Yeah. Water break. Yeah, so Rwanda is a familiar opponent, like I said. We've played them a couple of times in the past 1 to 2 years, so we know them very well. So I don't think there should be this is again, I don't even want to analyze this game tactically in any way, because we know what it is. This is do or die season. We have to win, and we are playing at home. We've not won at home in 6 games. 10 games to play in this whole qualifying round. We've not won at home in 6 games in a group that has Lesotho, Benin, Rwanda, Zimbabwe. It doesn't make any sense. This thing is, right now, it is as if I want to play a betting ticket. Straight win for Nigeria. I don't want to hear any other thing. If you don't beat Rwanda, you might as well kiss your World Cup hopes goodbye, because they're not even going to make the playoff spot. Like, that's just it. Either of Benin or Zimbabwe will make that playoff spot. If you don't beat Rwanda at home, if you do that thing you did against Zimbabwe, Super Eagles, if you do that thing you did against Zimbabwe, you're not going to win. Just forget it. There's nothing tactical to analyze in this game. Beat Rwanda, end of story. Bam. South Africa is where I'm going to focus on, because that's a very tough game, I must say. And on paper, we are the best team in that group. But based on the performances, South Africa is the best team, or has been the best team, right? So this is the game that I really want to touch on, because there's a lot of, when we play South Africa, it's different, because of the rivalry on the pitch and some also bad stuff off the pitch that I always avoid in my videos, right? So, but we know the things that I'm talking about. So, but it's always a heated game, and there's always, and this game in particular, actually, there's been a lot of stories leading up to this game. There is an issue about South Africa's feeding an ineligible player, which is something I'll touch on next. So let me not go into that yet. But South Africa have become a hard nut to crack for us in the past few years, and we only just got past them at the last AFCON on penalties. So they're a really, really tough team. They've improved as well. Hugo Bruce has sort of changed the fortunes of the team. Yeah, there's a lot going into this game. If we beat Rwanda and we beat South Africa, I don't see it happening. But if we beat South Africa, we are going to the World Cup. I think that is the game. But we have to beat Rwanda first. So, you see, I don't want to jump the gun here, guys. We have to beat Rwanda first. But I'm saying it now on record. If we beat South Africa, we are going to the World Cup. That's what is going to convince me that we are going to the World Cup, that we will make it to USA, Canada, Mexico. I have zero that. As much as I am probably the least optimistic person about the Super Eagles in the past few years, I can say this with all confidence, that if we get 3 points from that South African game, we are going to the World Cup. There's nothing that will stop us, because that's the toughest test for me, because going to South Africa now with how good they've become, and the fact that we've not been able to we weren't able to beat them at home. There's some of them who still believe that, we treated them badly when they came, we didn't handle their logistics properly. So there's a lot of things that South Africa want to sort of take revenge on us for. as well. We also want to beat them. There's so many things hanging on this game, apart from the 3 points, bragging right. Then also, another lesser issue there is there's a South African of part Nigerian descent, in the squad who has played a couple of games in the COSAFA Cup, but who is getting his first proper call up. Ime Okon. His father is Nigerian. His mother is South African. He was born and raised in South Africa, so he's very much South African, right? But his name is, his first name and his last name is Nigerian, so he stands out. But he chose South Africa, which he probably should. Sadly, his father is late, so to be fair, it doesn't really have much ties to Nigeria right now. So it's a very understandable decision. And even if he had so many more ties, he's still eligible to choose whichever country he wants to represent. So, but yeah, it's just something that stands out because the issue with the whole Nigeria South Africa, it kind of adds sort of a dimension to the whole discussion and the whole rivalry, and also look into you guys should look out for that. He's also a rising talent. I think he's 20 years old. He left Super Sports United South Africa to go to Hannover 96 in Germany. So he's kind of a rising profile as well. He probably would start that game and play full 90 minutes against us. So let's just look out for that. And I feel like you have a brilliant performance against us that day. So yeah, that's just it really about that. And as for, should I say the way we should approach that game tactically, I'm not a coach. I can't tell Eric Chelle anything. But if you ask me, I feel like, there is no other thing I can tell you than to attack. Eric Chelle is a coach that likes to attack. Anyways, you need the 3 points. There is nothing that should concern you with defending. Just attack from the start of the game to the end. In fact, if possible, kill the 2 games against Rwanda and South Africa in the first half. You need to score first. That's the thing. Against Rwanda, believe it or not, we are the ones under pressure against Rwanda because we're playing at home. We've not won at home. Rwanda sort of has nothing to lose. Funny as it sounds, they want to go to the World Cup too, but if they don't go, well, nobody expects them to qualify anyways. So we are the ones that are the so-called giants of Africa that we've not won any game at all. So we are under massive pressure. In the 2 games, we need to score first. In South Africa, we need to score first to silence the crowd. If we get that first goal, we are kind of in the driving seat because now we can sort of play the dark arts. We can wind up the South African players. We can, get them to commit fouls. We can do a couple of those things that we don't usually do. I don't usually see Nigerian players doing. Nigerian players kind of play fair a lot. So we just need to get the first goal. I can't advise Eric Chelle tactically on anything. I'm not going to do that today. That's all. Get the first goal. If you get the first goal, we win both games. That's how I see it. Now, to my last prompt here, which is the case of the potential 3-point deduction from South Africa for fielding an ineligible player. Now, for people who don't know or people who haven't heard, there is a case at FIFA right now where Nigeria and other teams in the group are pleading to FIFA to deduct 3 points, as the rule states, from South Africa for fielding an ineligible player, Teboho Mokoena, in a game against Lesotho. Now, a couple of people don't know that. I personally think, Nigeria, FIFA will take action, but a couple of people don't know that 3 points will not just be deducted, it will go to Lesotho. So it doesn't mean that, yes, if it's deducted, it will help our cause, but we still have to win our 4 games. And this is why I want to say that Super Eagles, Nigerian football fans should not don't bother yourself about that issue. Whatever will happen, will happen. And if FIFA says they are not deducting that point, nothing you will do. There's nothing anybody will do. We appeal it or at the most. And if FIFA still say they are not deducting that point, there's nothing anybody will do. So let's not focus on that potential 3-point deduction. If we beat Rwanda at home and get our first home win, and we go to South Africa and beat South Africa in their stadium, we will qualify for the World Cup. I am saying it on record. If we can beat Rwanda and South Africa, that away win against South Africa will propel us to win our last 2 games. We will top that group. I have no doubt in my mind. We don't have to focus on that 3-point deduction from South Africa. Let's just leave that aside. Focus on what we have to do. Because also, another issue about that potential 3-point deduction, the South African coach Hugo Broos was asked on an interview about this issue, and he said something that is true, but also is funny to hear. He said that the rule says, yes, they've done something wrong, they should be fined, they should be punished and all, but the rule also says that action will be taken if the complaint was submitted early. That's, in the case of an ineligible player being fielded, if the opponents submitted the complaint early. And he was trying to say that, oh, Nigeria is indirectly involved and we are the ones making the most noise, which I found very funny. I almost want to say stupid, but I just find it funny because what do you mean we are indirectly involved? As much as I say, and I just said that we should leave that out, we should focus on our own task, it is stupid to not see something that could be to our advantage and not try to make the most of it. It's just like the case of what happened in the Premier League, where Crystal Palace were demoted to the Conference League, the Europa Conference League, because of a double ownership situation. I think their owner has stakes in Lyon and Crystal Palace, and according to UEFA rules, double ownership is now very much frowned upon. And so, depending on how the rules is stated, 2 teams that have like similar ownership will not be able to play in the same competition. And so Crystal Palace was demoted, and that allowed Nottingham Forest to get to the Europa League. Nottingham Forest are playing in the Conference League. And then some Crystal Palace fans were angry with Nottingham Forest. I'm like, what did Nottingham Forest do? They didn't do anything. You were the ones who put yourself in that situation. If you did not have a case of double ownership, you wouldn't be demoted. It's the same thing here. You fielded an ineligible player. If you didn't do it, Nigeria will not have any case against you. And again, Nigeria faced this exact same issue in 2018 when we played the World Cup qualifiers and we topped the group comfortably. But we fielded an ineligible player, I think Shehu Abdullahi, in a game against Algeria also. And we got deducted 3 points. But luckily for us, it didn't affect us because we had done our job, right? That's what I'm saying. We had done our job. So even the 3 points did not make any difference. We still topped the group fair and square with like at least 3 points above the other teams in the group. So it didn't really make any difference. That's why I said if we had done our, so there's 2 sides to it. 2 things can be true. If we had done our job, we probably wouldn't have to focus on this. But at the same time, as things stand, we need to take advantage of anything because in desperate times calls for desperate measures. We need to take advantage of anything that can give us, a headway, so to say. So that's why I found what Hugo Broos, the Bafana coach, said very funny, because you can't say we are indirectly involved. That's so weird to say. And at the same time, he said, what are the rules? They should be punished, but the complaint was not submitted on time. Well, that's for FIFA to decide. That's not for you to decide. Who are you to say, who are you to tell FIFA what to decide? So at the end of the day, there's some complexities around this case. But as far as I know, in these situations, the punishment for feeding an ineligible player is 3-point deduction. It's as simple as that. And there's a reference case that's not too long ago. There's something to reference very, very, very recently. It's just like 8 years ago. It happened to Nigeria. So, the other teams in the group did not benefit from it because they didn't do their job. So that's on them. So, but as it is, we don't know what will happen, but the hope of every Nigerian football fan is that we will get to the World Cup. And South Africa will deduct that 3 points, which will certainly help us. But that 3 points we go to Lesotho. And now we still need to go away to Lesotho and win Lesotho as well. So, we need to do our job, guys. That's all I will say. But like I said, the current situation right now is that Nigeria is 4th in the group. We have not won any home game. We have to play South Africa away. So guys, I don't know, for the people who are very optimistic, but I want to tell them to be realistic. I want us to win our last 4 games, and I believe that if we beat Rwanda and South Africa, we'll go to the World Cup. But there is also the risk that we will miss out on consecutive World Cup tournaments for the first time since 1994. I don't want that to happen, but we also need to be realistic. We cannot focus too much on South Africa deducted 3 points and not do our own job. So let's do our job, guys. That's all I have to say. And, let's just do our job. And hopefully in a week's time or a couple of days after this, I will come back and do a preview, smiling and happy that we beat Rwanda and South Africa and things have changed. We've gone up in the group and we are looking good to qualify for the World Cup. Well, here's where I bring today's video to a close, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all that are subscribed to my channel. As I always say, I'll bring videos like this for you guys every time. So until we meet again, be real soon, when I do a preview of Rwanda, of the games against Rwanda and South Africa, it's bye for now and see you later.